Phil, let's talk about the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. Before we talk about it, let's just play part of what the president said when asked whether or not he is going to fire the Fed chair.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him, but they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned. We should be paying 3 points lower, and we would save $1 trillion a year in interest if that were the case. And all it is the stroke of a pen. And that goes for his board, too, because his board is not doing the job, because they should try and rein this guy in. So he's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so. And we'll pick somebody that's good, and we'll pick somebody. I just want a fair job.
Phil, just quickly, another fact check. He put Jerome Powell in as Fed chair. It is true that Biden extended him, but it was he, Donald Trump, who made Powell the Fed chair. And sort of the headline here is that there were reports that the president told lawmakers yesterday that he was poised to fire Powell soon, and he said that's not true. Phil.
Yeah, let me kind of walk people through the journey that those who cover this issue went through in the 30 minutes leading up to the president speaking there in that spray with reporters. We have been reporting, and Kristen Holmes broke a ton of news on this last week, and we've been reporting as a team that there was a significant expansion of a very coordinated effort to pressure the Fed chair. It is no secret how the president feels about Jerome Powell. It is no secret how the president feels about where interest rates are. His disdain for both of those things has been very clear and not at all subtle over the period of months, and in some cases over the period of years. The effort by his advisors, including some bureaucratic tools that they've decided to put into place over the course of the last several days, has certainly escalated what we have seen. However, there has been a view, I think Kristen is reporting on this from advisors, I have reporting on this from advisors, that this was all part of kind of the extreme level of jawboning, I guess you could say, when it comes to the Fed, which other presidents have done in the past. Never to this degree, but they have done it in the past when it comes to interest rates. What changed is there was a meeting last night with a group of House Republicans. Those House Republicans were meeting with the president, ostensibly related to a cryptocurrency bill. During that meeting, the president was airing some of his grievances and frustrations about Jay Powell. He polled the room. Pretty much everybody there, I'm told, said that Powell should be fired. I'm also told that the president pointed to a piece of paper that he said was a draft, basically firing letter, removal letter for Jay Powell. In the wake of reporting about that, which came over the course of the morning, the White House didn't knock it down. And in fact, they indicated that it was likely, not only was the story that we were reporting out was true, but it was likely the president was going to move forward and fire Jay Powell. Then 15 minutes later, we saw the president deny that was underway, kind of brush off the idea of it in and of itself. And in the meantime, the markets, upon the initial reports that firing was likely, stock market dropped dramatically, 400, 500 points at one point. Long-term Treasury yields spiked dramatically, 5, 6, 7 basis points, which is what you would expect. And now everything's kind of settled into a volatile yet uncertain place. This is a little bit lengthy, but I want to make this point. You can see the market right there is up 5, 6 points. I want to make this point because it's important. The reason why the president maybe wants to work behind the scenes and add pressure, but isn't willing to pull the trigger on this is twofold. First off, he can't without cause. It's not within his authority. Now, there's some dispute over that within the administration. It is pretty clear that without cause, he can't do it. What his team has put together is potentially a pathway to find cause as it relates to a renovation that they've really seized on over the course of the last couple weeks. That is probably tenuous at best, but the reason why the president doesn't act on this, even if he believes he has cause, is because of that short-term market reaction you saw when it became a real thing all of a sudden. The president wants rates to go down. If he fires the Federal Reserve chair, that would almost immediately lead to a significantly prolonged legal fight. As the president noted, this is not an individual decision when it comes to interest rates. He is on a board of the Federal Open Market Committee, of which there are voters, more than just him, where a majority decides the pathway forward on rates. None of those individuals were pushing for a rate cut in the last meeting. Maybe a few will this time. If Powell gets bounced and markets go haywire and Treasury yields skyrocket, you are less likely to get an interest rate cut, not just in July, but also in September, and then moving forward, regardless of who the chair is. So there's a reason why there's a reluctance to do this on a legal basis, on a market basis, but there is clearly an effort to keep this bubbling in the hopes that the pressure will have an impact.